Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the morning 4-3-2-1. This morning, we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 10, verses 1 through 16. Have two special guests with us today. One former intern, Colter Wickerham, who lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Colter, thanks for being with us today.
Glad to be here.
And the other is Jacob Holman, who is not one of our interns, but I've known Jacob longer than I've known any of the other interns that we've ever had here. Knew Jacob from back in Starkville, Mississippi. Very good friend. He preaches down in E-Town. Jacob, thanks for being here with us today.
Hey, good to be here this morning.
All right. Mark chapter 10, let's begin at verse 1. And he left there and went to the region of Judea and beyond the Jordan, and the crowds gathered to him again and again, as was his custom, he taught them. And the Pharisees came up, and in order to test him, asked, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife?" He answered them, What did Moses command you? And they said, Moses allowed a man to write a certificate of divorce and send her away. And Jesus said to them, because of your hardness of heart, he wrote this commandment. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate. And in the house, the disciples asked him again about this matter. And he said to them, whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another, she commits adultery. And they were bringing children to him that he might touch them, and the disciples rebuked them. But when Jesus saw it, he was indignant and said to them, let the children come to me. Do not hinder them, for to such belong the kingdom of God. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a child shall not enter it. And he took them in his arms and blessed them, laying his hands on them. All right, Jacob, what do you have for us?
Well, I just wanted to focus for a little bit on kind of three simple but important words that Jesus mentioned there in verse 6, and that's from the beginning. With the mountain of challenges that our culture is facing right now, all the problems that we're dealing with, just think of how many of those could be solved if we just went back to God's from the beginning language. Just a few examples here for you to think about very quickly. Just think about the origin of the universe. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I think if we would think about God's from the beginning language there, we would be impressed that God created everything that exists. Where did we come from? Not just the origin of our universe, but the origin of humanity. Genesis 1:26 and 27, we've been created in the image of God as male and female. We would be reminded of that truth. It would help us in our life. Just what Jesus is dealing with here in this section, the definition and the purpose of marriage, Jesus, in answering this question of the Pharisees, goes back to the beginning. That's really where he starts, Genesis 2 and verse 24. We would appreciate that God created marriage as a blessing for one man and one woman for life, to enjoy for life, and also the treatment of our fellow human beings with all the problems that we have right now. Going back to Genesis 9 and verse 6, James chapter 3, how we speak to one another, how we treat one another, how we value each other's lives. So I would encourage us this week to consult God's from the beginning language to help us solve those problems.
All right, wonderful. Colter, what do you have?
Yes, I like the scene that Jesus has here with the children whenever the disciples were wanting to rebuke him for for them wanting to come up and touch him. It reminds me of three different examples. A congregation where all of the men would go back and teach the kids' classes for a quarter so that the women could have a ladies' class. Those men learned a ton trying to teach those kids' classes. I hope I'm at a congregation that does that someday. And then an elder I know who he would regularly go back and teach the kids' classes so that he could have a better understanding of what those teachers need with those children. Some people might say, well, an elder's too busy for that, going back to teach kids' classes. He's never too busy for that. This is exactly what Jesus did. He loved the children. So the question I'd leave with you is, what are you doing to help love the children of the congregation you're a part of?
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, guys. What great lessons for us today. Appreciate your time. Hope everybody has a great day today. God bless you. Join us tomorrow morning as we start up in verse 17 of Mark chapter 10. Everybody take care today. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.